Okay, this is cool down for my first creative writing thing. So what I can do is ask it to outline the story. So the story is different than the narration. The story is what happens, then what happens, then what happens. Uh, it kind of has an old school noir tone. It's a mysterious climate shift. It's the midsummer and it's fucking cold outside. So chapter one is a cold front. John's morning routine. He has an encounter with a neighbor Greg and devastating Dear John letter from Victoria. I think the narration included the phrase Dear John, so that's something that could be a little bit story, a little bit narration. Themes of isolation, aging, athleticism, self reliance, and a literal figurative chill in his life. And we probably should know that self reliance and isolation does not work. It's like that interdependence, on others, people you can trust. And I may have this character learn the hard way that he's got to work with a team at least. Not really. I don't think he's a family guy, but he's got to work with a team. The neighbor, Victoria, and there's going to have to be an antagonist that stops them from living out their life over the next month or so, the next couple of months. Chapter 2 is an empty house. John goes inside. Okay. Taking out. Okay. ChatGPT is going to try to build the story, so we don't want it to build the story. Just outline, bro. Just outline what we wrote, the story that we wrote. Gotta keep an eye on this. Here's the structural outline of exactly what we wrote together for chapter one. The outline. There's a setting and physicality. John wakes up on this really cold midsummer morning. So there's always the why. If you want to be in control of the narrative. Why the hell is it cold? What does that have to do with them, with the story? Is it an indicator of a bad storm? Is the bad storm the reason why he needs to work with a team? Kind of thing. That does not have to be figured out right now, but someone might want to know. I was looking online at different uh, writing techniques, and some people just write by the seat of their pants. They do creative writing by the seat of their pants, and that's fine. That's what I tried doing. But with pair narration, his bones ache from years of the mat, and he puts on a heavy wool flannel to combat the unseasonal chill. He's got a routine. He drinks a bitter stale cup of cheap clearance coffee and reflects on the Russian Boer combat grenadiers jiu-jitsu morale patch he made, noting the irony of wearing it as an American. Irony does not work. Irony is an indicator of defeat and anger. External world. John reads the morning newspaper, noting over 17 recent local arrests as the police aggressively crack down on both the homeless population and unlicensed boxing facilities. So it seems like there's a looming threat from the external world that there's no option to, if he's thrown out the street, there's no option to just be out there and maybe get another chance. They're putting him in jail, and even with his belt or two in jiu-jitsu, he can't even run an unlicensed boxing facility. He encounters a neighbor, walks out to the mailbox 5:45 a.m. His neighbor Greg offers him a ride to work. True to his stubborn, fiercely self-reliant mindset, John views the offer to help as a sign of weakness and flatly rejects it, claiming he has his own ride. Inciting incident once Greg drives away, John opens a crisp government stamp envelope before even heading back inside. A letter from Victoria reads, "Dear John," doesn't land easily. "We need to talk," signed Victoria. What I can see here is that it looks like Victoria has a government job and he is facing potential short-lived homelessness, no opportunity to teach jujitsu. I mean, someone ignorant like this may not be rooted to the reality, but that's something that's not really part of the story. It's just thinking about what's going on. Looks like Victoria has a government job. That adds a massive layer of pressure to a situation. If Victoria was a stable anchor with a secure government gig, losing her doesn't just break his heart, it completely pulls the rug out from under him financially. How about a breakup and makeup story? We have like a breakup. Makeup story for the portion of the novel. Because, dude, this is not, it's a character living their life, but it's fiction, so you can have your character do crazy stuff like breakup and makeup, fictional stuff. Usually people go through, men go through one breakup in their life, they don't have another one. That dynamic, very fictional, that dynamic high stakes pressure of his looming displacement mixed with a structured institutional world gives their relationship a lot of growth. So is he the bad boy? So, so must he become the bad boy to get her back and begin living his life again? He's alright. Listen to this. Every single time I sit down to make a video, you hear something in the background like that. He's already like hard on himself. Self-discipline. Incorrect. Undiscipline yourself. Maybe you got to figure out. That's Crow with deep insight into his character. You're completely right. Forcing a guy like John to become a bad boy, adding more rigid self-discipline doesn't work because he's already brutally hard on himself. His self-discipline isn't a problem. It's practically his prison. He doesn't need to learn how to be a rebel. He needs to learn how to live again, how to adapt, and how to let someone in without. He needs to learn how to learn. Learn how to learn. And that means letting go of aggressive, isolating tendencies. I hit the nail on the head. His biggest opponent isn't the cold, the government, or the police crackdowns. It's his own instinct to wall himself off and treat every interaction like a match he has to win to get her back and to survive. He has to open his hands instead of clenching his fists. Okay, gotta open a hand, gotta ask for help. Chapter 2. Chapter 2, though, that's just thinking. could be the painting of the scene as he reads the Dear John and can't crank his truck. He's gonna have to go somewhere. Chapter 2 could be the painting of the scene as he reads the Dear John. The paper crinkled under his stiff fingers, the ink of her signature stark against the cheap government style. While around him the neighborhood began to hum with the muted, frantic energy of people terrified of losing their status. And just paint it and read. Victoria's letter smelled of faint, just smelled of business. What is that? What of heavy ink from letterhead. Um, because we've already described the environment. How in the world Victoria's letter smelled of heavy ink from letterhead? He stood there on the half-acre lawn in front of his rented home, painted in colors too bright, leftover paint from projects, finished or unfinished. The vibrant, chaotic streaks on the siding, mismatched slashes of electric blue and safety orange from old gym renovation projects, felt like a mockery under the heavy gray sky. He walked over to his old truck, his boots dragging through the frosted grass, and climbed into the cabin that smelled faintly of stale wintergreen tape and old canvas. He turned the key in the ignition, but the engine just gave a hollow metallic click, refusing to turn over in the unseasonal